I don't agree with this example of nationalism. Not saying that it's not an example of government nationalism.
Well,
You're talking about infrastructure.
One
something that's going to unite disparate people, though, not just something that 50% of the population is down with.
Nationalistic policy
is going to unite the nation on a wide scale.
That's just bullshit, and he made it up. Nationalistic policy is not necessarily there to unite everybody.
Okay, you literally said, I'm writing these down. Hold on, I'm writing these down as you said them. You said united under love of country / nation. The wall was the most divisive thing. It even divided Republicans.
The woke streamer Destiny and Andrew Wilson got into a heated debate here on this debate show. And like I said, things got pretty heated. In my opinion, Andrew Wilson absolutely dominates Destiny in this one, causing Destiny to have an absolutely unhinged meltdown. Let's get into this clip here where Destiny and Andrew Wilson really go at it. And like I said, in my opinion, Andrew Wilson absolutely clobbers Destiny. Let's get into this clip here.
"Quote unquote American nationalism." I know while you're apparently not talking about a monoculture, I mean, if you're talking about a government that promotes quote unquote nationalism, then presumably you're talking about a government that promotes certain policies designed to get more people behind a common set of experience and belief, which seems like the opposite thing you'd want to do if you'd want to preserve unity in a diverse continental-sized country.
Why? Why is that contrary? That makes no sense.
Because under our framework, this goes back to Federalist number 10, where Hamilton said, look, democracy in a big republic can work because all of these different interests can keep each other in check. Everybody has the opportunity to put their policy into practice, to have the ability to sort of have a corner of this great country where they can be themselves, as far as possible under our constitutional framework. Well, I mean, but the idea of trying to squeeze everybody into a narrower box.
Cherry pick federalism, but the thing is, Bastiat, is look, we all live under one federal government.
Right.
Everybody does. There's no particularly good reason why you can't promote nationalism, or the federal government cannot promote nationalism and make a strong state. There's no good reason why they can't do that. There's no good reason why they shouldn't do that.
Yeah, I don't think either of us disagree.
What is nationalism and a strong state to you? Because, well, I mean, the United States government is a pretty strong state.
How many times do you want this redefined?
Okay, wait. First of all, the first definition was a little bit unclear, which is fine. But so more concretely, I think what we would ask is what's an example of a nationalistic policy?
A nationalistic policy at the federal government level. Maybe you could look at infrastructure might be a nationalistic policy. You could look at maybe different economic incentives via taxation, things like that could be nationalistic policies. There's
basically the entire Trump and Pat Buchanan America First agenda.
Yeah,
that was those were both attempts to unite the different factions of the republic under a banner of nationalism. It's the way you overcome all of the racial differences and religious differences. It's the reason you can have a country with freedom of religion, with multiple cultures, with multiple races, because you can unite them under love of country and love of your nation. It doesn't, like he said, those two aren't mutually exclusive.
Yeah, that is 100% true what Rachel's saying there. The problem is, I don't think that will ever happen. I think the roots are so strong, and let me know in the comments if you think I'm wrong. I hope I am wrong, but the roots are so strong in the left wing that they hate their country so much. They have been brainwashed to hate America, the greatest country in the world to live in. And anybody who's actually well-traveled will tell you that to live in on a year in and year out basis, season in, season out basis, the United States is the best place to live, no doubt about it. But these people are brainwashed to hate their own country so much so that every single opportunity that they get, they use it to protest against America. Like a lot of these pro-Palestine protesters, and look, I said it before, I'll say it again. I don't care who wins that war. I just wish we weren't involved in it. I hope they both lose. I legit do not care. I have no horse in the race, and I don't know why anybody does in America, unless you're somebody who sells weapons to these people, unless you're a weapons manufacturer. But regardless, they don't care about pro-Palestine. They just know that Israel is an ally of the United States and that the United States government wants to support them. So they go out and use that as an opportunity to protest pro-Palestine, quote unquote, but it's really anti-American. And every single chance that they get, whether it's using the trans flag instead of the American flag or the Ukraine flag instead of the American flag, they use every single chance that they can get to be anti-American. Their roots are so strong to hate America. I don't know if anything, even like an alien invasion or something like that, could bring us together to the point where we are a nationalistic nation again. I just don't think that's possible. And I hope I'm wrong. I know that Donald Trump, like Rachel and Andrew Wilson are saying here to Destiny, that they tried, Donald Trump tried with the America First movement, the America First agenda. I just don't, I think it's over. I think it's GG's. I think the right wing could just get so big to where the left wing is just kind of irrelevant. But as of right now, if we're doing like left versus right, there's no way that they come together. The right could keep absorbing these refugees of the left wing, like Anna Kasparian and Joe Rogan and Russell Brand and these types of people, to where the right wing just gets so big and so powerful that the left wing is just irrelevant. But if the left wing is not ever going to just succumb to nationalism. It's just never going to happen.
Exclusive.
So
like
I don't
Thomas
think
Jefferson said, we're all Republicans, we're all Federalists.
so I don't think either of us would disagree with either of that. But the weird thing though is that like everything you're giving me is like 100% not the Trump agenda and absolutely the Biden agenda. So when we look at, for instance, like infrastructure, that's what's working its way through Congress right now. There's a question of if any Republicans are going to be on board with that, the massive infrastructure. But when you talk about economic incentives, that's baked into the last coronavirus relief and potentially like the new infrastructure bill going forward. Like that's economic incentives that Biden has for working class families. When you talk about attempts to unite the republic, if you look at Biden's rhetoric, he's not a Republican or a Democratic president. He's the president of the entire United States. He's the president of every American. When you talk about a country with religious freedom, Trump is the one that's holding up the Bible and saying, this is my holy book. This is one of the best books ever written. I think it's my first favorite or second favorite behind my book or whatever, right? It feels like everything you're giving me right now is like 100%
None of
Biden's
that has
rhetoric.
anything to do with anything. Who cares if Biden has what you consider portions of a nationalistic agenda? Good. He also has portions of things that are not a nationalistic agenda, like what you guys consider.
If you enjoy content like this, then make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
Open border immigration.
Well, what part of Trump
wants to move in?
What part of Trump was considered a nationalistic agenda? Was it the massive tax cuts for wealthy corporations?
How's this for a massive infrastructure project? The wall. That would have been a very highly nationalistic project. That's just one example among many.
You're a
level country here.
You're a real life.
Nothing of the sort. Go ahead.
Well, okay, I'm sorry. This is true. Yeah. Me. You're a real life person. You drive to work. Okay.
Yeah.
I've driven all over this country for a long time, and I'm sorry, but the idea that investment of our infrastructure, as somebody that's driven on roads in the Midwest that are fucking falling apart, as somebody that wants to move to Miami where buildings are fucking collapsing, as somebody that is like watching flooding happening like around the world and shit, as somebody that is watching like the dramatic change in climate across the Northwest where they don't have air conditioners, because how are you telling me that a wall is the type of infrastructure investment that people across the country are looking forward to?
Whether you agree that the wall was a good idea or a bad idea is irrelevant. I was giving you an example of something that would be nationalistic. So when we're talking
hold on. We're asking you for examples. You can't give me an example, and then when I push back on why your example is dog shit, say, well, that's not relevant. It absolutely is.
He's pushing. Oh man, this is why like reacting to Destiny and David Pakman and these sorts of people, it's so bad for your health because it's just so infuriating. It's so bad faith. Destiny's a smart guy. He is a smart guy. You know, a lot of you would disagree. I think IQ wise, he's a pretty smart dude. I don't think he believes half the things that he says he believes. This is one of those things where he's just being bad faith. He gave a good example. Andrew Wilson was asked to give an example of one of Trump's nationalistic policies and something that Trump wanted to do that was nationalistic. And he was saying that a border wall would be very nationalistic, and it would be. That is very much embracing the people of America and telling everybody else, stay out. We are America. We don't want you here. And we should have pride in that. We should have pride in our country. That is nationalistic. That's the definition of nationalistic. And Destiny is like, oh no, that's not a good example because it wasn't actually a good idea. That's irrelevant. If it's a good idea or not in your brain, it's irrelevant to the fact that it was nationalistic. There's a lot of things that you could do that's nationalistic that aren't good ideas. It doesn't have to be a good idea in Destiny's brain for it to be nationalistic. So it's irrelevant. It's not a bad example. Andrew Wilson gave a great example. That was a very nationalistic approach. And the fact that Donald Trump, just in the way he carries himself around other world leaders, is more nationalistic than most other candidates out there. The way that he, allegedly said to Putin that he'll turn Moscow into a crater if he did anything to the United States. I forgot the exact example of what it was. I think it might have been if he invaded Ukraine, he would do it. Or if he threatened a NATO country, he would do it. But like the way that he's like, he represents America in a pretty strong way. He's a nationalistic president. And Joe Biden's not. Kamala Harris is not. They hate their country. They hate I don't even think Joe Biden hates his country, but he panders to the people that do hate their country. Therefore, he does things that makes, you know, more people hate the country. Putting the pride flag, you know, putting the trans flag up on the White House instead of the American flag. I think he did that on like Veterans Day or something. Just insane. Absolutely nuts. This is, once again, more bad faith acting from Destiny here.
Well, I mean, you brought it up as an example.
Shit. What you're doing is saying, I don't agree with this example of nationalism, not saying that it's not an example of government nationalism.
Well,
You're
I've got
talking
two
about
presidents.
infrastructure,
One
something
president
that's going to unite disparate people, though, not just something that 50% of the population is down
No,
with.
nationalistic
Something that's
policy
going to unite the nation on a
all
wide
people. That's just
scale.
bullshit, and he made it up. Nationalistic policy is not necessarily there to unite everybody.
Okay,
right
you literally
now,
said, I'm
right
writing these
have,
down. Hold on, I'm writing these down as you said them. You said united under love of country / nation. The wall was the most divisive thing. It even divided Republicans.
They can be, and policy on the national level can be divisive, like the coronavirus. Right now, you pushing vaccines pretty hard. That's a pretty divisive policy, but most certainly it's a nationalistic policy, and there's a lot of nationalistic propaganda around it, isn't there?
Let me ask you, what makes a policy nationalistic? Like, because if we're talking about the wall, for example, the wall is divisive. The wall comes
so
with
what
great
makes the
well, let me just explain why I'm skeptical of this. Maybe we can go to another policy, I don't know, but the wall is divisive. It comes at the expense of the taxpayer to the tune of several billions of dollars. The economic benefits are not.
Literally everything that is nationalistic that you can give an example of would be divisive because, like I said earlier, the left hates their country. They are not nationalists. They are anti-nationalism. So, of course, anything that is nationalistic will be divisive because they hate their country. The left hates their own country. So, of course, it's divisive. That doesn't mean it's not nationalistic. This is just ridiculously bad faith coming from Destiny and his team. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about this debate here between Andrew Wilson and Destiny. In my opinion, I mean, Andrew Wilson wiped the floor with Destiny. Let me know in the comments what you guys think about this whole Andrew Wilson versus Destiny in this situation.